Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make Happy from Hey Duggee. So the yarn that I am using today for this guy is this Kelly Green, that's the name of it, and it is from Impeccable, Loops and Threads Impeccable. It is a 4.5 ounce, 260 meter, 127.5 grams of skein that will do your entire Happy. So you're only going to need one of these. The pants color, the bottom part, his legs and his pants, is going to be the same brand, Impeccable by Loops and Threads. It's the same size of a skein, and it is called Blue Haze, and it is super duper pretty. The feet and the top of his pants is a neon color. So I have this Craft Smart neon orange. It's just kind of scrap yarn. So that's what I'm going to use for, and it's worsted. This is what I'm going to use for his bottom of his feet. And then some white for his eyes, and in conjunction with that, I have these 14, I think they're 14 millimeter or 16 millimeter. I'm not certain. Great big black eyes for his eyes. Just like that. I'm using a 4.5 for this project. Like I do with a lot of projects, it just seems to be the right size hook for everything that I do. I'm working in amigurumi, and you will also need a stitch marker, and if you have one, a row counter. So most of this is green. His teeth are white, so we're going to build the head first. Head is built separate from the body, and then we're going to come back and build the body and then sew the head on after. It's just the easiest way to do it. So you're going to make a slip knot. You're going to chain 15. You're going to do 14 single crochets all the way back up. Chain 1, turn your work. So for the next 8 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is my last row, my last stitch. We're going to chain 1 to begin. In this first hole, you're going to put your first 1 single crochet. This is my 8th stitch. I want you to put a second one in that same space for number 9. We're putting 2 on the ends to keep it square. We want this to be square looking. And now we can go down on the other side of the first chain that we did. I'm going to weave in my tail. So that is my 46th stitch. So 46 stitches is what you should have. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, and we're going to be able to do that 6 times around, and we'll have 3 extra stitches. This first little stitch was our chain 1 when we first started. We're going to ignore him, and we're going to start into the next stitch, which is technically the stitch of the first stitch of the round. So ignore that little stitch there, which was our chain 1 from the previous row. You can put a stitch marker in here and then do 6 single crochets and an increase all the way around. That's 6 single crochets, and then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat all the way around till you can't go anymore. So I've gone around as many times as I can. I have 4 extra stitches, so I'm just going to put 1 in each stitch for a total of 52 stitches. So I should have 52 stitches. For the next 21 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 52 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is my 21 rows. So this is what you should have. And this is his great big mouth. So we don't have to put stuffing in it quite yet. We're going to decrease. So I want you to do 6 single crochet decrease, because we did a 6 single crochet increase. So now we're going to do that same thing in decreases. So you'll get all the way around. You'll have 4 extra stitches. That's number 1. That's 6 single crochets. Now I'm going to do invisible decreases. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to do invisible decreases. So I'm just going to pop up into the front loop of the first stitch. I'm going to swing around and pop up through the front loop of the second stitch. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over and finish the stitch. So that's an invisible, and that's what I'm going to do. So I am all the way around. I have my 4 extra stitches, and you should have your a count of 46 again. So you should be back to 46. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 46 stitches. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. We're going to do the same thing. You're going to get all the way around, and you're going to have 4 extra stitches. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your increase, or your decrease. Repeat. So you should have 40 stitches. Your next round will take you down to 34 stitches, and it's 4 single crochets and a decrease. So again, you should have 34 stitches. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 34 stitches. So I'm going to put some stuffing in it before we go any further, because we only have a few more rows. Just make sure you're keeping this pretty square on the end. So it's about as much as it should be stuffed. So you shouldn't see the stuffing through your work at all. Not at all. It should be nice and green. If you can see the stuffing, you've overstuffed it and you need to take some out, or your stitches are just not tight enough. I mean, there's a number of reasons you'd be able to see your stuffing through, but if your stitches are too loose, then maybe just drop down in hook size, because it should be nice and tight like this. You should not be able to see your stuffing through that, no matter how close you get to it. You should not be able to see stuffing through it. So this is, however, amigurumi, so the things are just naturally, we do go down in hook size as it is, but some people are just, you know, I'm a loose crocheter, which is why sometimes I will yarn under and not over. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 28 stitches. You're still going to have your extra stitches at the end. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. and repeat. And I got my 4 extra stitches at the end, just like normal. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 21 stitches. You'll be able to get all the way around evenly. And then I just want you to follow it up with 1 single crochet in each of those 21 stitches. And I will see you back here, and we're going to cinch this closed. So that's my 21 stitches. I am done. You can fasten off. So this is the head. We're just going to cinch this head. We don't need a sewing tail. We're going to use the sewing tail from the body to sew the head on. So we can just fasten off with just a cinching tail. So let's finish stuffing it first. So I think mine's pretty good for cinching. So you're going to go through the front loop of the first stitch and out the front loop of the second stitch. Back down here. So in the front loop, out the front loop. All the way around. So once you're all the way back around, you can just pull. So I like to come across and secure mine with a knot. And then I like to go the other direction and do the same thing. So I'm going to move my stuffing around a bit. I didn't put enough stuffing at the end, so it's a little, if you can see, it's a little puckery. And that's what happens when you don't put enough stuffing in there. So I can just weave. There, so we've got this part of the head done for the crocodile. So next you're going to need white. We're going to do the teeth. And then we're going to move on to the legs and arms. The glasses will be last because I don't want to squish them too much when I'm, working with them. So the teeth you're going to do with white, and you're going to chain 41 and then do 40 single crochets back up. So that's my 40 single crochets back up. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches all the way back up. And then I fasten off. Now I glued this to him. I did not sew at all because it looked horrible when I did, but you might be a better sewer than me, so you can do whatever your little heart desires. So I'm all the way back up, and this is it for me. You can do a sewing tail if you want. I just did a little bit of a straggler tail so I can pull it through, but I absolutely did not sew any part of this on. So if you're doing what I'm doing, you're going to need some pins. These pins here are great because I've got this nice bar across like that. And these are called wig pins, and I got them on Amazon, so they're not expensive at all. That's what I'm going to use. And then some glue. I just use this clear school glue. It sticks really, 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 really well. So arms and legs, and then we're going to be done this chapter. So I've changed my mat. We're just going to set this guy aside and wait for this to dry. We still have some nostrils that we need to put on, and then of course the glasses, but we're just going to let him dry and set him aside. I've changed my mat because the next color we're going to be using to start the legs is this neon orange, and it really didn't look good with my red mat. So grab whatever color you're using for the legs, the start of the legs. The legs are blue, so this is the leg. The legs are blue, but we start it with the neon orange because that's what color it looks like. I'm going to put the picture up now. So let's start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So amigurumi, so no slip stitching, no chaining. That's number 1. That's number 2. 2 single crochets in each stitch around will give you a total of 12 stitches. So still using the orange for the next 2 rows. I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches, and then we'll switch to the blue. So I'm all the way back around. I have my last stitch available for my color change. And I'm going to go to this blue. So I'm going to go in, pull up a loop. I'm going to finish that stitch with my blue. Let's get this marker out of the way. So you can make a slip knot here if you need to put that on your hook instead. Don't have to just wrap it around. I do like to tie these two in a knot. Instead of weaving. And here's a prime example of why. This orange is way thicker than my color that I'm using currently. So weaving would have made the one side really, really thick. And I don't like that, so I'm going to cut this off a bit too. So now that we're blue, we're just going to keep doing one single crochet in each stitch, but we're going to go for 16 rows with the blue. So you still only have 12 stitches. It goes pretty fast. So that's my 16 rows, so you can fasten off. We're just going to whip stitch this closed, so you need a little bit of a sewing tail and enough to whip stitch with. So we're going to go right to arms, and then I'm going to put the pattern for the legs and the arms on the screen, and that'll be the end of the chapter. So the chapter will end with these patterns up, so right now we won't worry about the second leg. You're fastening off of both of them anyway, so moving on to arms. You're going to need your green color, and we're going to do a magic ring of 5 single crochets. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around, giving you 10 stitches. For the next 14 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. And I will meet you back where we're going to do one last row before we fasten off. So for the next 14 rows, 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is my 14 rows. So this very last round is going to be a decrease because I like my arms to be tapered when I'm sewing them on. So I'm going to be yarning under for this because I like the tighter stitch that I get when I do it. So usually you'd yarn over like this, but I'm going to yarn under. So when I come up, I'm going to grab it like this. And I'm going to do 2 single crochets decrease. You're only going to get a couple of times around. You're going to have a few extra stitches or a couple extra stitches. No big deal because we're fastening off after this. So 2 single crochets and then your decrease. I'm just going to do a regular decrease instead of an invisible one just because it's the last row. It doesn't really matter. We're just putting a taper on this. I hate the squared off look. So I got a couple stitches left. I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in each of those. And this leaves you with 8 stitches. That's what we're going to fasten off with. So go to your next stitch and fasten off. You're going to need a we're going to whip stitch this, even though we just tapered it. We're going to whip stitch it, and a sewing tail to sew it to the body. So I'm just going to finish filling it. So we only have 8 stitches to whip stitch this closed. Oh, technically we have 4. I think I missed a bunch in there. Mine will be fine. So this is where we're gonna just make sure mine's the same size. So I'm gonna leave you to do your second pieces. I'm gonna put the patterns for them up on the screen, starting with the legs, and I want you to do your second pieces, and then you can do your whip stitch and your sew tails and have all this ready for when we meet back in chapter 2. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So now that you have all your arms and legs done, we're going to start with the body. We'll finish the nostrils and the glasses for the head at the end of it. I think it'd just be easier if it's sewn, if everything's sewn together first. So we're going to start with our blue color. Then we ended with our legs. We're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. We're still working in amigurumi. So after your first stitch, that's where the marker goes, and then stitch number 2 can go in that same space, and then each space following that for a total of 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. Our next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 30 stitches. The next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. The next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 42 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 54 stitches. Your last increase row is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. This brings you up to 60 stitches, and that's where we're going to stop. So this is what you should have. You should have 60 stitches. So for the next 10 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 60 stitches. And then we're going to change to the neon orange. So I will see you on the other side. I'm in my last stitch. I'm going to switch to the orange color, so I'm going to pull up a loop. Add my orange. Now my orange is much thicker. My neon, it is from Craft Smart, and it is worsted. But I just designed this to make it not so you know, you kind of design around it type deal. So after our 2 rows of orange, we're going to be going to the green. So you can cut off your blue. And for the next 2 rows, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet in each of these 60 stitches with our orange. You don't really need to mark it with a marker, but you know, habits. And then after we're done, like I said, we're going to be going to green. So I am back around, and my last stitch, I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm going to go to my green. With my green, I'm going to do the next 5 rows of just 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to start my decreases. So just for the next 5 rows, 1 single crochet in each of these 60 stitches. So that's my 5 rows. We're going to decrease once, and then we're just going to, well, we're going to decrease twice, but once right now, and then we're going to go into a bunch of rows again. So this round is going to be 8 single crochets and a decrease. With this being number 1, that's my 8 single crochets, and then I'm going to do invisible decreases. So just in my front loops. So you should have 54 stitches. For the next 17 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 54 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that is my 17 rows. We've got 1 more row to do, and then we can stop. I've stuffed part of mine already. So your last row is going to be 7 single crochets and a decrease. So I am done. You can fasten off with a sewing tail. So pretty long. You're going to be sewing the head to the body, so and just finish stuffing it. So, mine's pretty full. We can get our head. Oh, let's finish doing what we're doing with the head here before we sew this on. I have to take all this out. First I'm going to hide my stragglers. Oh, I can do this with the head sewn to the body, but I might as well do it before. So I'm just going to, with my straggler, I'm going to kind of tack this end down a little bit. Even though it's all glued. So when I sewed mine on, I left a little bit hanging over the back, but not much. Little bit. But you can sew yours on however you want. Just remember, it's kind of got to have a longer snout out front because it is an alligator. And I'm going to mattress stitch mine on because I feel like it's a way better hold than by a mattress stitch. I mean I'm going to grab some from up there and I'm going to grab some from the first row down here. So once I get a few done, usually more than this, but I'm just going to show you, and then I pull, and then it'll bring that head right in close to the body. So that's a mattress stitch, if that's what you wanted to do. So once I'm back around after my first go, I go back around with a mattress stitch, but this time I go up higher and down lower, just to make it look all nice and neat. There. All done. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of yarn to make a knot. Not that I think you have to, but I always like to just really be safe. But when I pull that knot, you know, it gets sucked down. Nobody will ever know it's there. And then you can weave. So let's do the nostrils and sew the arms on, and then we'll do the glasses at the last. So you just need black for your nostrils. We're making 2 of them. obviously. And they're just a magic ring of 6 single crochets. That's it. That's all they are. And we can sew them on. I like to put some glue underneath mine. My nostrils may or may not be even. Arms and legs. So the arms, let's see. 2, 4, 6. Well, let's count up from the pants. 2, 4, 6, 8. On the 9th row from the pants. So for my legs, I sewed them, I can find the other one. I sewed them on about my magic ring area like that. But I would just set them down, set your guy on it, see what it looks like, see what you think. And then you can just ever so gently pick it up and sew on your leg. So this particular one, which I obviously stuffed differently, is just below the magic ring. So they're different every single time, because you cannot possibly make identical pieces. There we go. And cute. Alright, so the glasses, that's the last thing we have to do, and then he will finally look like happy. So these are the glasses we're doing. This here, these are safety eyes, but they don't poke through because I do a back for them, so there's no need to, that'll be what the back looks like. And that's the front. So I'm going to show you a picture so you know what we're working with. So that's his funny picture. So these are the safety eyes I'm using for him. These are 16 mil. Bring it back down here. These are 16 mil safety eyes. So that's what I'm going to work, or that's what I'm going to use for his glasses. So I'm just going to grab some of my scrap white here. That's a mess. And this is what we're going to start with. And then we're going to finish with our blue. So let's make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. And this is the a magic ring I don't want you to pull the middle closed on. Actually, I guess you could pull it closed, but we're going to be putting an eyeball in there, so pull it somewhat, a little bit closed. Your next rounds can be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So if you wanted to put your eyeball in now, just so that you know, and you pull your magic ring as tight as you want at this point. Your next rounds can be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. And then your next stitch gets the increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat for a total of 18 stitches. So I'm all the way back around. I have to put 2, I've already got my first stitch in this last space because that's my increase space. But my second one, I'm going to change to blue. Now if you would prefer to fasten off to change colors, then that's fine. You can do that. I do not. So with blue, you're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Try not to be so tight when you do this round. So you can take your marker out and cut your white off. Unless you wanted to sew with it, but I sewed with my blue. I weaved this in, so I'm just going to cut it off. This guy here, doesn't matter, you can cut him off as well. Because I'm putting a back on this anyway. So from this spot, go into your next stitch and start to chain. I know the reason for going into the next stitch makes no sense, but that's normally where we would fasten off, and it looks funny. So chain 15. Now each of these eyes is different, so you can't just break away and go do the next eye, because they are different. So coming back down the chain, I want you to do 5 single crochets. And now I want you to SC3 tog, so single crochet 3 together, that's what that stands for. So you're going to go into your first stitch, pull up a loop, go into your second stitch, pull up a loop, go into your third stitch, pull up a loop. You should have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. And now I just want you to do 6 single crochets. That brings you all the way back down to where you started from. And then I just want you to slip stitch into this next stitch and fasten off. With a pretty long tail, because we're going to move this tail so we can use it to sew with, but we have to move it. So this is your first eyeglass arm. So the other one is different. Doesn't work out to be the same. So that's number one. We'll do the backs after. So we'll just leave this for now and we'll do our next one. My white is a mess. So let's start the same way with our white. We're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Don't pull your hole closed. 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. One single crochet and an increase, and then on your last stitch you're gonna change to blue. So I'm on my last stitch. I'm going to put my first increase stitch in there, and then my second increase stitch is where I'm going to switch to blue. I cut this off. I'm going to weave my white a little bit. I hate doing that, but I don't want to make a knot either because I'm putting something there. So with blue, you're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase. Alright, take your marker out. So we're going to go into the next stitch and we're going to start chaining 15. I want you to do 6 single crochets. That's my 6 single crochets. And then in this next stitch, I want you to put 3 single crochets in the same space. And then I want you to do 7 single crochets back down. Oops. That's my 7th stitch. And then into this next stitch, slip stitch and fasten off. Again with sewing tail. So then this one angles down this way. So you've got an arm, oh, I'm a little high, arm angle that way and an arm angle this way. So that's his glasses. We have to sew the middles together, but First, we'll move this down. Actually, weave it just at the back, down and around. We'll do that before we put the back on. I'm gonna say I'm about the middle-ish with that. This guy, I'm gonna weave him just down to the bottom. To weave him down to the bottom so I can use that for sewing. This guy here, so if you have a table, that would be probably better. You got to get these into position. It's hard because it all wants to curl up, but I'm gonna move this down a bit. So I gotta weave a couple more spaces, I think, or just at least one. Once you think you've got your eyes lined up, you can start just whip stitching them together a little bit. And then scooch back down to sew. There. So let's put the backs on. That'll make these look a lot better with the backs on. They'll stay open once we get the backs on. So with white, or whatever color you want to use, we're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. You're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. I'm just going to count to 12. And then just 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. That is it. That's our little back. So you can fasten off and make back number 2. So this is my back number 2. I've already sewn my other one on to show you. what it's gonna look like. And I also just want you to know I use glue because it makes everything nice and stiff. And that's what you kind of want. You want this to stay nice and stiff. Now the back helps, but using glue and sewing it on also helps. So the only thing you really got to worry about is your eyeglass arms, as they don't tend to stay. Oh, what did I just do there? They don't tend to stay straight, obviously. These will always stay open. It's these that are the problem. And even on my other one, zoom out a bit, they're just kind of there flopping around. And you know what? The cartoon or the TV show, it's the same thing. They're just kind of flopping around. Now these ones I did stitch back here to hold the blue back. So it's an option for you. It holds them back, but they still kind of fling out. So let's get my doll to sew this on. Of course, I just used the bottom parts. So I just did literally just that bottom part using a mattress stitch. Don't do the front because it'll pull it back down this way. You just want him to stand up this way. So that is it for that. So, I know that everybody likes the blocking, and that's fine. I like to block. I'll lay him down. I'm gonna get this wet. And I'm gonna keep it in shape. And I'm just spraying it with hairspray. And I will let this dry probably overnight before I really do anything. But that's how I just kind of get my pieces to stay in the shape that they need to be in. So that's what I've done. I've wet them, I sprayed them with hairspray, and now I've just kind of pinned them back. And I'll let those dry, and then that'll be it. So we are done our video.